I'm Kerstyn Comley.
And I'm Suzi Godson.
And we're going to start with a short film.
Being a teenager, you feel like you have to almost be that sort of the teenager that's portrayed to you in like film and TV and stuff. If you're like Insta-bait or Insta-famous, it does play some sort of role into how that person acts as well, I think, as well as how you might perceive them.
When you're in school, you don't get recorded for your actions. You say something, yeah, it'll probably be forgotten by the next day. Whereas on social media, it's stamped down.
A lot of people sort of act up, especially for like Snap and stuff. They'll act like they're having a better time just so that they can get a good Snapchat, rather than actually enjoying themselves. So sort of like a fake life for yourself. That's a massive thing, like culture. Like, I get that. It's like you'll think about what time you're going to post something so it gets a certain amount of likes. People just want to be known.
Yeah, definitely a problem with boys speaking out. Girls and boys, I think the anxiety's completely the same, just like most things with girls and boys, except girls will show it more, even though they probably have just as much, so it's all hidden, which is a lot worse. The boy has to be the man.
When you're like first growing up and you notice yourself like you're growing up, you sort of start to put on yourself, oh, I should be doing this at this point. And I feel like that's one of the things, like having sex early and stuff is like I should be wanting to do this at this point.
You're not seeing what life's really about if you're hidden up in your anxiety. I think you need support, people to speak to keep yourself in check.
Among teenagers, rates of depression. Sorry, so that's a little film about our app, MeeTwo, and we're just going to go into our slide presentation now. But yeah, here we go.
So as you saw from the film, MeeTwo makes it easier for young people to talk about the difficult things in life. And why have we done this? Well,
you're probably all aware that we've got a massive problem, certainly do in the UK. As some earlier speakers explained, mental health amongst young people has never been worse. In the UK, 1 in 4 girls suffers from depression, 1 in 10 children has a generalised anxiety disorder, and the age of onset is around 8 years of age. So we really wanted to do something about it.
And so what we did was we spent a year looking into what is known to help, what's out there. And the key thing for early intervention is to get young people to start talking about things. And they can do that most easily when it's anonymous and when they're talking to people of their own age.
But what's also incredibly important is that those conversations are guided and that they are moderated, and also that young people are educated about, coping mechanisms, what works and what doesn't work.
So we took all of that knowledge and we ran some pilots, and one of the first things we found from our pilots was that what the kids wanted was a solution on their phones in their pockets. They rejected all the other ideas we tried, and so we built an app. And on the app, a young person can post any problems or questions that they have, and other young people can respond with ideas and solutions, or even sometimes just something as simple as an emoji or good luck, you can do it really helps.
We've built in educational resources which are developed in response to what the kids are talking about. So rather than assume what they might need to know, we listen to what they're saying and then support them with the resources that we add. We also encourage them to express themselves creatively, so kids can make art and images and upload them into the app. And most importantly, we are a junction box to all the other support resources that are out there for kids. In the UK, there's actually many charities working in this area, but there's no way for kids to access them. Kids don't even know they exist. So what we've done is allowed kids to go in through the app into these charities and helplines, explore them from the privacy of their own phone, and then if they feel that they need that support, they can go and get it.
And most importantly, as we said at the beginning, the research shows that all of this needs to be moderated. Peer support on its own can be a horrible, unwieldy beast, but what we do is we check everything before it goes live, and that means we can screen out all the bullying and cyberbullying, anything like that. Actually, we find that because kids know this is going to happen, they don't do it.
It also allows us to pick up the really vulnerable kids, and we screen them out so they don't make it into the app because they need more specialist support. We also give guided rejection, so when kids post things that are inappropriate or offensive or don't have the right kind of content, they get a rejection message explaining to them why it's wrong so that they can get it right next time.
So does it work? Well, yes, it does. And we know that because we see it. We've got some examples here of things, and we get these kind of messages all the time. You know, thanks, it's really helped, thanks, I'm doing... This is a particular favourite of mine. Cherry Pepper is on a lot, clearly somebody who needs quite a lot of support. But look at that last sentence. Today, I managed to ask a waiter at a shop for coffee and snacks. I couldn't do it before. This is really powerful.
The wonderful thing about our app is we can see what kids are worrying about. We can see how their story changes over time as they're using the app. So the data that we're collecting is giving us amazing insights as well. We didn't do this on our own. I'm a psychologist and a journalist.
I'm an education technologist.
And we worked very closely, and still do work very closely with young people in developing the pilots and in ongoing projects in schools.
What's really exciting for me is the amount of insights that are already coming out of the app. And it's because we're collecting such a lot of data. So these are the top topics that are talked about at the moment. But the items in red are of particular interest because we always try to support the young people to get them additional help, to lead them on to new things. The items in red, we've really struggled to find resources out there. These are things that are not openly discussed, and these are areas where young people really are telling us they need more support. So our vision then is to be, we're not just an app, we're a whole service, and our outcome is to create an environment in which teenagers can actually cope with anxiety. And we know that the app and what we're doing is a very small cog in that big wheel, and so we're looking at all sorts of other ways in the future that we can develop this model of positive psychology and support. So we're quite proud of this number. It's almost entirely through word of mouth. We've been very slow at developing the app because we want to get the safeguarding right, first of all. And we also want to make sure we're having really meaningful conversations with our users.
We've had one piece of press, but it was in the Times and it was pretty positive. And, you know, we feel that we're at the beginning of a journey that will go on, and we would love to see this in other countries, supporting kids around the world. It's completely scalable. It's completely, you know, packaged and ready to go for other languages. We have, you know, we have impact already, but we are wanting to work with universities. We're starting to work with child and adolescent psychiatry students to study the data. And we're really glad to be here because this is amazing to see how many people are working in different areas, but you know, there's so much that we can all learn from each other. So if you've got any questions.
Yeah, come and find us. Thank you.